Here's the crazy part. What if the person you've been trying to become doesn't actually exist? Sounds insane, right? But hear me out. From the moment you were born, the world convinced you that there's a fixed you inside your head. A self you need to improve, protect, and prove. But what if that self is just a story your mind keeps repeating? What if the stress, the pressure, the fear are all tied to protecting a character that's not even real? Yeah, that's the twist most people never see coming. This video is going to hit different, because once you truly understand that the you you've been identifying with isn't actually there, something inside you shifts. It's not about giving up who you are. It's about realizing what you've always been beneath the noise. And when you finally see that, a weight drops and freedom begins. You ready? 1. The illusion of a separate self. Most people go through life completely convinced that there's a solid me inside their head running the show. It feels like there's a central character making choices, planning the future, and reacting to the past. But when someone really starts to examine that, everything starts to fall apart. Where exactly is this self? Can it be found in the mind, in the body? What we call me is actually just a series of thoughts, emotions, memories, and sensations stitched together by the brain. It's like watching a movie and getting so caught up in the character that you forget you're not actually them. The illusion of self is strong because it's reinforced by repetition. Every time you say, I think, or I feel, you're reinforcing a story. But try to sit down and find the exact place where the I begins. It's slippery. 1 minute you think it's in your chest, then in your head, then maybe in your memories. This illusion isn't your fault. It's how human consciousness works. It needs continuity to function in the world. But the downside is that this mental identity traps you into believing you're something separate and limited. This false identity becomes the root of anxiety, fear, and suffering. You feel like there's something to protect, to defend, to prove. And yet the thing you're trying so hard to hold on to isn't even real. Which leads to the question, if the self isn't truly there, then what is? 2. Awareness is what you really are. Even when the illusion of self fades, there's something that doesn't go anywhere. It's not a thought, not a memory, not an emotion. It's just there, always watching, always present. This is awareness, the silent background behind every experience. It never says a word, yet it sees everything. Awareness isn't a mystical concept reserved for monks or yogis. It's what allows you to hear your own thoughts, to notice your feelings, to be aware that you're aware. Imagine sitting on a bench at a park. The breeze hits your face. Kids play nearby. Birds fly overhead. All of it is being registered somewhere, but not by a character, by presence. And here's the kicker. You can't observe awareness because it's what you are. You can't look at it the way you look at a chair or a phone. It's not content, it's the container. Once someone gets a taste of this, even for a moment, something shifts. That constant need to chase meaning or identity starts to dissolve. A great exercise? Try just sitting in silence for 5 minutes. Don't do anything. Don't try to meditate. Just watch. Sounds, sensations, thoughts, let them pass. And notice what's left when everything else moves. That, right there, is not a thing. It's you. And yet it's not the you you've been taught to believe in. 3. You are not the thinker of thoughts. Here's where things start getting weird. Most people believe they're the ones thinking their thoughts. But if you really pay attention, you'll notice something odd. Thoughts just pop in. You don't plan them. You don't decide which one comes next. They arise like bubbles in a soda can, random, spontaneous, uninvited. Try predicting your next thought. You can't, it just shows up. And yet there's this voice that claims ownership. I just thought this. Door. But if that thought came from nowhere, who exactly is claiming credit? Neuroscience has already confirmed that the brain initiates decisions before the conscious mind is even aware of them. It's like your brain sends the email and your self reads it afterward, pretending it wrote it. Think about how many thoughts you've had that you didn't want, worries, fears, weird memories from 10 years ago. You didn't ask for them, yet they arrive. And still, the illusion of control persists. Why? Because it gives us comfort. It makes life feel manageable, even if it's just a clever trick of the mind. But if you're not thinking your thoughts, then what are you really doing? You're witnessing. That's it. And that changes everything. Because now we start to wonder, if I'm not the thinker and I'm not the thought, then who or what am I? And that takes us straight into a whole new way of seeing life. 4. Life is happening without your control. Let's be honest, your body's been handling most things just fine without you micromanaging it. Your heart beats, your lungs expand and contract, your stomach digests. None of it needs your permission. Even your moods shift on their own, often without a clear cause. And yet, we walk around acting like we're steering the wheel. The truth is, you're more like a passenger on a ride that's already in motion. You didn't choose your genetic makeup. You didn't handpick your childhood environment. You didn't even design your preferences. They were shaped by life itself. That's not a flaw, it's a revelation. Because if life is unfolding on its own, what are we really struggling to control? This illusion of control is sneaky. You think you're deciding to check your phone, but it's often just a habit you didn't consciously plan. You think you're choosing your emotions, but those are reactions wired into your nervous system. The character you think you are is more of a byproduct than a creator. Now imagine dropping that need to control everything. What would change if you stopped thinking life needed your constant input? You'd breathe easier, you'd stop fighting what already is. And maybe, just maybe, you'd start noticing something far deeper running the show. Something we'll begin to uncover in just a moment. 5. The inner voice isn't you. Everyone hears it, that constant voice narrating your day like it's got something important to say. One moment it praises you, and the next it calls you an idiot for forgetting your keys. It acts like your personal advisor, therapist, and critic all rolled into one. But have you ever stopped to ask who it's actually talking to? Because if you're hearing it, you can't be it. That voice switches personalities faster than a Netflix series. It argues with itself, contradicts yesterday's plans, and flip-flops on what it believes. One day, it's optimistic. The next, it's convinced the world is ending. Realize this. If it were truly you, it wouldn't constantly break its own logic. It's more like background noise in your mental radio. Try this out. Spend a few minutes observing your thoughts without getting involved. Don't analyze or judge, just notice. Watch how they roll in on their own, like clouds drifting across the sky. That voice may sound like you, but you're actually the one who's listening, not the one who's speaking. You're the observer, not the noise. And once you see the voice for what it really is, a lot changes. You stop identifying with every anxious thought or reactive feeling. You stop believing every story your mind tells about who you are, and you begin to tune into the deeper silence underneath all that chatter, which opens the door to a much more profound realization. 6. Searching for the self ends in emptiness. The search for a fixed identity is like chasing a ghost. You feel like it's just around the corner, but it's never actually there. Try sitting in silence and asking yourself, where is the me who's thinking all this? You might expect to find something solid, a core, but as you look, all you find are layers, thoughts, sensations, memories, constantly changing. And none of them can honestly say, I am you. It's like peeling an onion. Each thought feels like it might be the center, but once it's gone, there's another underneath. And when you finally get to the end of the layers, there's nothing left to grasp. But strangely, there's still something present. Not a person, not an identity, just pure awareness, quietly witnessing it all. This can feel unsettling at first, like standing on the edge of a cliff with no ground under your feet. But that emptiness isn't a loss. It's a doorway. It's freedom from the heavy baggage of needing to define yourself all the time. Without clinging to a story, you become much lighter, like you're finally breathing fresh air after being stuck indoors. So instead of asking, "Who am I?" try asking, "What's watching all this?" Not to get an answer, but to loosen the grip of the question itself. Because when the search collapses, something else comes forward. Something ancient, still, and utterly beyond the mind. And that's when you start realizing that maybe there was never anything missing at all. 7. Realizing this brings freedom. The moment you stop clinging to the idea of a separate self, things begin to feel lighter. The weight you've been carrying, the pressure to fix, control, and figure everything out starts to fall away. Why? Because the one who thought it was responsible for all that was never really there. You don't disappear, but the stress of being someone does. And in its place, there's space. When you're no longer busy defending a mental image of yourself, you start noticing more of what's actually happening. You listen without needing to argue. You feel emotions without becoming them. You respond instead of reacting. It's like stepping out of a fog and realizing you don't have to play every role your mind assigned you. Think about how much time you've spent trying to protect an identity. At work, in relationships, online, constantly adjusting to be seen a certain way. But when the illusion of self falls away, you see those roles for what they are. Costumes. Useful, sometimes fun, but not who you really are. You're the space where all of that comes and goes. This shift doesn't mean life stops happening. Bills still need to be paid. People will still cut you off in traffic. But something changes inside. You're not lost in the drama. You're watching the play from the audience now, calm and grounded, and from that seat, the next realization begins to reveal itself. 8. You are the infinite presence behind it all. At some point, you stop identifying with the character on the screen and realize you're the screen itself. Everything that's ever happened to you, every thought, every experience has appeared inside something bigger. That bigger thing? That's you, not the person, not the name, but the open space where it all shows up and disappears. That's not philosophy, that's direct experience waiting to be noticed. Spiritual awakening isn't about becoming someone new. It's about realizing you were never just someone in the first place. You're the awareness that was there when you were 5, when you were 30, and when you read these words now. That awareness hasn't aged. It hasn't changed. It's always been the same, clear, silent, and watching. The mystics weren't just being poetic when they said, "You are God." They were pointing to this truth: you are consciousness itself, taking on form temporarily. The universe isn't outside of you, it's inside your awareness. And that changes how you live. You stop trying to reach something beyond and begin recognizing you were it the whole time. When this clicks, even for a moment, everything softens. You don't need to prove anything, chase anything, or fix anything. You realize that life is already whole. And what you thought was missing was never outside of you. It was hidden behind the illusion of self. But now that veil is lifting and something real is coming into view. If you want to elevate your vibrations and manifest with more ease, I have prepared something special for you. Click the link in the first pinned comment and join us in the journey of awakening your inner mage.